April, May, 6 months, totally different world. So from nothing to everything's locked down. There's so much conflicting information and conflicting opinions about how to proceed. What has happened. You find things where there was a meat packing plant, I believe, in Missouri, where 300 plus people were asymptomatic, tested positive or asymptomatic. And then in other places, it just ravages entire communities and kills people. And it's so weird. It almost appears on the like if you didn't know any better, you'd be like, "What?" It seems like there's a bunch of different viruses. It doesn't seem like it's the same thing, or has a bunch of different reactions to the biological variety of people.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of saw this whole thing play out in China before it played out in the U.S. So it's kind of like watching the same movie again, but in English. So, yeah. I think the mortality rate is much less than what say the World Health Organization said it was. It's very much less. It's like probably at least an order of magnitude less.
Well, it seems to be very deadly to very specific kinds of people and people with specific problems.
Yeah, I mean, if you can look at the mortality statistics, by age and whether they have comorbidities, like do they have like basically existing conditions, and by age, and if you're below 60 and have no serious health issues, the probability of death is extremely low. It's not zero, but it's extremely low.
They didn't think that this was the case, though, when they first started to lock down the country. Do you think that it's a situation where once they've proceeded in a certain way, it's very difficult to correct course?
It's almost like people really wanted a panic. So it's quite crazy.
But in some places, a panic is deserved, right? Like if you're in the ICU in Manhattan and people are dying left and right, and everyone's on intubators, and it seems like when you see all these people on ventilators and so many of them are dying, and you see these nurses are dying and doctors are getting sick, in some places that fear is justified. But then in other places, you're reading these stories about hospitals that are essentially half empty. They're having to furlough doctors and nurses because there's no work for them.
Most of the hospitals in the United States right now are half empty. In some cases, they're at 30% capacity.
And is this because they've decided to forego elective procedures and normal things that people would have to go to the hospital for?
Yes, I mean, and we're not talking about just some of these elective procedures are quite important.
Yes.
Like it's like you have a bad heart.
Gallbladder disease, yeah, sure.
Yeah, and you need a triple bypass. It's like sort of elective, but if you don't get it done in time, you're going to die.
Yeah. Elective's a weird word.
Yeah, elective. It's not like, hey, I want to. It's not like plastic surgery or something.
Right.
It's more like my hip is. I'm in extreme pain because my hip's blown out, or my knee, and I don't want to go to the hospital. I can't go to the hospital to people in extreme pain, people that need a kidney, like people that have like quite serious issues that are choosing not to go out of fear. So I think it's a problem. It's not good.
It seems like the state of public perception is shifting.
It is.
Like people are taking some deep breaths and relaxing, and because of the statistics and essentially across the board, it's being recognized that it's not as fatal as we thought it was. Still dangerous, still worse than the flu, but not as bad as we thought or we feared it could be.
Objectively, the mortality is much lower. Like at least a factor of 10, maybe a factor of 50 lower than initially thought.
Do you think that the current way we're handling this, the social distancing, the masks, the locking down, does this make sense? Is it adequate, or do you think that we should move back to at least closer to where we used to be?
Well, I think proper hygiene is a good thing no matter
Yes.
what. You know, wash your hands and, you know, and if you're coughing, stay home or wear a mask. This
Yes.
is not good, you know. Like they do that in Japan, that's like normal.
Yeah.
If you're ill, you wear a face mask and you don't cough on people. I think that would be a great thing to adopt in general throughout the world. Washing your hands is also good.